Hello friends, my name is Alex Shyba from Uniform, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. I know I am, because I am beyond excited to show you all of the latest product capabilities that our product and engineering team has been working really hard for past few months. And this is gonna be a deep dive. If you are new to Uniform and you haven't had a chance to watch Lars's and Adam's introduction video, please do that. Highly recommend it. Those videos set the context to what I'm about to show you as I'm gonna be peeling the onion. So I will be playing a role of an engineering lead, working at a fictitious brand called JavaDrip. And we are happy customers of Uniform at JavaDrip. We also all about empowering our marketing team so they can deliver the results at market speed and without filing developer tickets for everything they need to get done on the digital properties. And this way, my team can also work less on the plumbing and get stuck there and allocate more time working on value generating tasks. And who knows, maybe we'll carve out more time to work on this exciting crafted animations on the website. Everybody wins. Here's what I'll be going through. We need to get started quickly on a solid front-end engineering foundation to optimize time to market and reduce risks. We'll be creating a unified content model that will be ready to be used with our front-end components. Then we'll be connecting data both from Uniform content as well as our selected external content sources with just a few clicks, and the components will adhere to our design system. Then we'll be putting it all together in a web experience using Uniform Visual Workspace. Finally, I'll show you how Uniform helps operationalize best-of-breed cutting-edge generative AI technology and make them available to our marketers right where they manage digital experiences. Sounds interesting? Let's get started. So what are we working with here? Well, first we have received this new design in Figma from our design team. This is our new product story page. And this page needs to go live as quickly as possible and hit the market. What we want to do is do this without developer intervention. Make sure our marketing team is enabled to do so, continue making changes and evolve this web experience. And we can focus on other things at hand. Of course, the dev team can be available to help out in any step of the way, but we want to be removed from the being the blocker in this process. Thankfully, we already adopted Uniform's Component Starter Kit, which is the open source foundation for you to build modern web experiences using proven, battleground tested, enterprise friendly components. And it's built with React, Next.js, and Tailwind CSS, completely open source, built with themable approach in mind. And in fact, at JavaDrip, we've built a custom theme and customized this web experience to serve not just product landing pages, but also product detail pages as well. It's important to mention that these components are built in a way that they are pure. There's close to 50 of them. And you have multiple variants available for you to build pretty much anything you'd like. This will adapt to your specific stack, your specific content sources, and as I mentioned, is highly themable as well. With Component Starter Kit, you have ability to move much quicker and get started on a solid foundation. But if you have an existing component library you would like to bring into Uniform, not a problem as well. Imagine the same can work with your design system implemented in your front-end technology of choice, whether it's React, Vue.js, or anything else that's cool these days. Now that we have our front-end foundation sorted, it's time to talk about integrations. Typically, you have multiple content sources inside of your enterprise technology stack to use. That content is scattered around. Sometimes it's not easy to get to it. With Uniform Mesh, that's not a problem. Uniform Mesh comes with over 30 integrations available for you to install, configure, and access content, whether it's product content in your product catalog, maybe marketing content or media assets in your DAM or CMS, maybe a legacy CMS, and access any of the search and intelligence APIs that may come with product recommendation capabilities as well. If there's an integration that's not available, it's not a problem. You can add your own. And if there is a REST API available, you can connect to that content without building a new integration. And that's something I'll show you a bit later. So Java Drip, this is our stack. In order to access all that content for the installed integration, I'm gonna head over to data types. And data types allow you to register a specific configuration for the type of content you want to pull into Uniform Visual Workspace. For example, if we want to add one more flavor of product selection that we'd like to support, for example, we want to select, have ability to multi-select products from Salesforce B2C product catalog. Not a problem. We can configure a brand new content selection experience, test it, and after that's tested, we will be able to connect this content directly into front-end components using patterns. It's important to mention that Uniform Mesh comes with edge-based fetching available for all these integrations and edge-based caching. So if your API is not as fast as you'd like it to be, Uniform Mesh and edge enhancers will be able to take care of that for you. You may notice that we have quite an array of different technologies. For Algolia, we'll be pulling product recommendations. We also have brand data, which is a JSON-based container of all protected brand content that we'll be referencing. From Contentful, we'll be pulling some of the marketing content that is already stored there. We have product reviews APIs that we'll be pulling reviews from. And finally, this is new. You probably haven't seen this before. These are data types coming from Uniform Content, which is a new place to define your unified content model, and all of the content types and entries that you create inside of Uniform Content automatically populated here inside of the data type section, meaning that you're just a couple more clicks away from connecting all this content to your front-end components. Let's take a deeper look inside Uniform Content and how it is configured. With Uniform Content, now you have ability to define content types. And these content types will describe your unified content model that can source content from multiple sources. In this case, I have a product content model with your usual suspects fields, and they ultimately describe what my product model is, and this becomes our domain model. I can extend it by adding more fields if I'd like to. You can see I have a mix of content that is text, rich text, drop downs. I have nested content blocks and as well as assets, allowing us to upload and manage assets inside of Uniform. I do have a few products created from these content types. One of them is Espresso GPT, and you manage this inside of the entries list. This product is already wired up to two content sources. You can see we have product content coming from Salesforce B2C, Commerce Catalog, and recommendations coming from Algolia. We have all the content provided here, and you can see these tokens indicate connectivity to an underlying content source. So for example, for the product name, we're using both a product name from Salesforce B2C Commerce and brand. We also reuse short description. For taxonomy, we'll link to brand, category, and you can see we have content blocks that also allow us to model product variants. So you can see I have a couple of product variants available here, and I'm able to manage that in a central place together with references to our product recommendations. And you can see this is using Algolia product recommendations connected to my product model, and I have a list of 5 product recommendations for me to connect and display inside of my components at a later stage. So everything is prepared and ready to go, including images. So I have a primary image uploaded here and image gallery. If I want to upload more images, I have access to Uniform Asset Library. And if I have an integration with Cloudinary or another DAM, I'll be able to access assets from those systems here as well. So everything is connected. I'm leveraging the power of Mesh and uniform content for me to model these unified models in one place. And if developers want to have access to this content, everything is available through our Edge Enhancer layer, meaning that the whole model that I have built, it's reduced, prepared, and ready to be consumed on any channel. If you can fetch JSON over API, you can render this content anywhere you'd like. This content is delivered through CDN, and it's delivered at 50 milliseconds or faster. So it is extremely fast and globally distributed. Of course, what we want to do is activate all this content inside of Uniform Visual Workspace, inside of Canvas. So this will be a natural step for me to take you next. So where does the front-end components connect to the content provided through Uniform Mesh and Uniform Content? Well, the answer is patterns. Before we go into patterns, this is our component library that Java Drip project is using. All of these components from a storybook that you have seen earlier are registered here. One of the components that I'll be working with is a hero component, pretty standard component. It's present here and configured, and it describes the experience model behind that component. This component also has a few variants that we'll be using and 4 patterns. And patterns, this is a very powerful concept of Uniform. Patterns allow you to store these pre-configured components that already pre-wire to the underlying content source, provide some constraints, restrictions if you want that. And they are very easy to be building web experiences with just a few clicks. I have a couple of patterns here. One is called article story. This is connecting to Uniform Content product story, connected with the product content type from Uniform Content. I have selfie contest and marketing hero. Let's take a look into marketing hero for a second. When we open this marketing hero pattern inside of Uniform Visual Workspace, we see this component rendered in context of header and footer, but what we are managing here is a single component. But this component is already wired up to content. And in this particular case, content is coming from Contentful. In your situation, you can source content from other content sources. You can see I can manage this pattern as a unit. If I'd like to change the web experience here and make any adjustments, I can save and publish. And this will be pattern used to build web experiences with in future. Let's take a look into other examples. This is article story pattern. It's using exactly the same hero component, but it is configured differently. Not only does it source content from a completely different content source, it's pulling content from Uniform Content, where we're pulling articles from. It's also contains different presentation settings, so different background and different display variant. That's the power of patterns. You're able to reuse the same underlying component. However, you can have any number of configurations of that component, and it can be pre-configured to a given use case. And this way we can empower our marketers to build web experiences much quicker. Let's take a look into another example. Now, this is a third pattern that's using the same hero component. It's called product story. And as the name indicates, it's connected to a completely different content source. Remember that product entry that I had just showed you recently? It's already connected to this pattern. and it's pre-wired to a given parameters. You can see I can manage them visually and reconfigure the look and feel of this given pattern together with the connection with the underlying data source. I'm not entirely happy with this image. It's kind of looks a bit squished, so why don't I change the image object fit, and it looks much better. And I'm gonna go ahead and publish, which will make this pattern available to be used on a composition where my marketing team is building web experiences. In Uniform, you can have any number of patterns you'd like. For this particular project, we have quite a few configured, and this is just shown an example of how much you can invest into empowering your marketing team to move quicker and without having dependency on engineering team. Now, having patterns is great, giving me ability to empower my marketing team to build web experiences without our engineering team involvement as quickly as possible. Let me show you how a marketing team can do that. So I'm inside of the project map area where I see all of my pages in this nicely structured sitemap. If I want to add a new page under home for our espresso machine launch, I can give it a name, get a path segment, and pick composition type. Page is my default composition type from which our marketing team can create any pages anywhere they like. So let's go ahead and do that. Open up in Canvas. When the composition is loaded by default, I get a default hero placed inside. This is a good starting point for me to start putting compelling marketing copy that I'd like. For example, introducing, and here let me copy paste some compelling content in here. The smartest espresso machine ever. So I'm happy with this copy. I'm not happy with this image that came by default. So why don't I go ahead and change that? And here I will override that with a video coming directly from Cloudinary. So let me insert that. And I'm gonna tweak it just a little bit more and give it a full height. Also, for the image overlay, what I'd like to do is make this background with slight overlay, and this will read much better. So first components ready to go. Let's build a couple more. I'm gonna continue with a story. Remember those patterns that we have seen recently? Let me start with the article story. So this will be using exactly the same hero component, but instead of providing content ad hoc, I can just pick content from our uniform content repository. And here I have my article linked up and my content is ready to go. I don't need to do any more changes. Then I want to add a product story, and product story is using exactly the same hero component. However, it's configured to source product content instead of article content. But the presentational aspect is pretty much the same. But we are displaying image left variant by default. So that's good. Let us add a couple more. What else do we want to do? Well, any compelling product a story page could use a product gallery. So why don't I do that? And for the product gallery, again, because we're sourcing content from our product content, from our unified content model, I can just pick existing product gallery that I have configured there. And in fact, you can see that that aspect is configured to be read-only. It's locked on a pattern. So in this case, we have decided as an engineering team not to allow changes on this pattern within a given parameter. That being said, I can change title style if I'd like to, content, but everything else is locked down, and that's by design. All right, what else can we add? Why don't we add a product FAQ? In this case, this FAQ will be coming from our headless CMS, which is Contentful. And this shows the reusability of content that we already have stored in our existing systems. And here I picked 3 FAQ item articles, and they're ready to go for me. And I can adjust the title, description, if I'd like, and make this a little bit more bespoke to my particular page. Espresso GPT FAQ. Then I'd like to add another piece of content from Contentful using our hero component, which should be famous by now. And I'm going to pick a content block from Contentful, and this will help me in my storytelling experience. And here I'm repurposing content, adjusting display variant so it works much better, and I'm almost done. Finally, what I want to do is add some product recommendations. And we can browse our component library and find our product recommendation component. And again, is already wired up to Algolia through Uniform Content Unified Model. And all I need to do is pick my product, and all of my product recommendations for the beans that are recommended to go with this particular coffee machine are displayed and ready to go. Beans to go well with your purchase. All right, and that's pretty much it for the initial launch. This is not everything I need. We also need to add reviews. I'll show you how that add a little bit later, but why don't we go ahead and publish this page? I'm kind of happy how it turns out. Before we publish it, we also have ability to test out animations. So if we would like to have animations on our site, we have ability to configure them and also manage everything related to presentation and animation settings within one place. So happy with the results. Let's go ahead and instantly publish this page. Before we do that, I'll show you that the site is actually live, and this page giving me 404. So because I haven't published yet. And this helps me demonstrate the instant publishing experience that we have enabled for our marketers. So whenever we publish, even though the site is optimized for performance using static site generation, we don't have to wait for minutes for the build to go live. I'm just gonna refresh this page, and you can see this page is live, and we have all the animations enabled. All of our content is displayed, and it's delivered as quickly as possible to our visitor in just a few seconds. Now, this is fantastic. Ability to launch a new web experience like that in just a few minutes without touching code, without being a developer. This is why we're using Uniform at Java Drip, and this is why we invested in the Uniform Visual Workspace. Now, we are very much about velocity and fast iterations at Java Drip. So one thing that we kind of forgotten is reviews. So we do need to display product reviews, and we kind of skip that. So let's go ahead and address that. And this gives me ability to showcase the power of patterns, and we'll be able to create a brand new pattern from scratch and being able to connect to a content source that Uniform doesn't have official integration with. So let's get started. First of all, let's explore the actual API that will provide us with the content we need. This API coming from madreviews.lol, which is a service that provides any product reviews over simple REST-based interface. So we pass the product ID, which is Espresso GPT, and we get 3 reviews back. If I want to limit my number of reviews, I can pass a take parameter and get 2 reviews back. Very simple API. We don't have official integration with Uniform, but that's not a problem. We can connect to any REST API and build this integration visually with just a few clicks without touching code. Now that we know how to call our API, step number 1 is create new data type. We're gonna use a standard HTTP request data source type, and we're gonna provide the URL for our service first of all, we're gonna start with a base URL. We're gonna call it Mad Reviews. And next up is to create our request. So we need to provide the API path, which is /API/reviews. There we go. And we need to provide two query parameters. One of them is ID. In this case, this will be ID of the product that we're going to use. And the value will be, let's make it a variable and call it product ID. And this variable will be provided on demand by our business users. Then we have another parameter called take, and we're gonna create another variable called count, and we're gonna set the default value to 2. That's it. Let's go ahead and test it. So you can see we have two parameters. We have product ID will be espresso-gpt. We can do fetch, and you can see we have 2 reviews returned to us. This means that we are ready to wire it up to our front-end component. What I'm gonna do is make a slight tweak here and sort the product ID first. And now I'm happy with results and can continue to wiring this up to our component. Now there are 2 ways to do it. I can do this directly on the composition that I just created, but if I want to create a reusable reviews component that displays all this content from our reviews APIs, I will use a pattern. I do need to find a component to base this pattern on, and I'm going to use generic grid component. This will give me the 2-column layouting that I want, and we can create it visually inside of our pattern editor. So I'm going to create new pattern, and in this pattern I'm going to add a loop because we're dealing with array of data, and this loop will be connected to a new data resource. It will be coming from our new API. To test, I'm gonna put the real content in here, the real product ID. We'll connect this to the array with 2 reviews. And now we need to access the structure panel. And from here, you have pretty much the skeleton of our pattern represented here with a loop. And from within each loop, we need to display a component for each element in that review. And thankfully, I have an atom level component called review, which I'm gonna place in here. And you can see because I have 2 elements in that array, I have 2 reviews automatically created. Now I can start connecting my content to my reviews. For example, the title will be review product name. The date will be connected to our date reviewed. And you can see, even though the shape of my source data is different, that's okay. Mesh will take care of any differences in shape of content between source content and our component experience model. You can see I'm connecting number of stars here, so I have both 5-star reviews. Person name would be the reviewer, and for the picture I'm not gonna select anything. Now because we are in the dark theme mode, I'm gonna use background type, black background type, and I'm gonna display this in 2 columns using the powerful grid component that I have in place. Finally, I'm gonna call this reviews. This title not gonna be visible. This is just for me to identify this pattern. And I'm gonna also call this pattern reviews. Save and publish. And now our pattern is ready to go, and I can place it on the experience. Now, in order to place this new pattern that we have created, I'm gonna go and reopen our composition we created earlier. Nice. So in order to place the pattern, we need to find the location for reviews. Let's say this one. Search for it. You can see this pattern now shows up in our list, and you can see it's connected to Mad Reviews API. And all I need to do is, you guess it, provide the product ID Espresso GPT, that's the product ID. The reviews will be retrieved from our service, and now reviews are displayed and they're ready to go. We're gonna go save and publish, and our change goes live instantly. So just to summarize, we just connected to external API, brought all that content into our front-end component using our existing Atom component, created a pattern out of the grid component, and did that without writing a piece of code, and did that just with a few clicks. And of course, we're just scratching the surface here. This is another example of using containers to manage layouting around a particular component, so you can have full control over the experience layer, ability to add spacers and additional utility components that will further enhance the experience. So this is the process of launching a new product story page. Of course, this is just one use case. With Uniform, you can also power product detail pages. In fact, that's what we do in here with a single composition describing all product detail pages. Let's take a look how it works. This is our product detail page. It's connected through dynamic token to any slug that we pass that corresponds to the product URL. And this gives you essential control over your product detail pages at scale. So you don't have to create a composition for every individual product detail page. And just by swapping this product slug with another value, we'll be able to preview how our product detail page looks, and we'll be able to make any changes. What if we want to override this and reuse our product detail, product story page as the override of product detail page? This is as simple as moving our page underneath products location. And notice that Uniform also asks us if we'd like to create a redirect. So if we want to retain the short URL we have created before, we can just click that checkbox and the redirect will be provisioned. And now instead of using pretty standard product detail page for this particular product, we're gonna use the web experience that we just crafted, very much bespoke for this particular product launch. This is how this Espresso GPT product detail page looked before, pretty standard. And after we made the publish, this is how it looks now, with all of the investments we put into our component library, design system, all wired up through Uniform to the vast array of different content sources. There is one more thing I wanted to show you. And we are super excited about this capability because this unlocks access for marketers to the vast array of generative AI capabilities. With Uniform Mesh, you have access to new type of integrations under AI category. You can see I have 3 of them installed, one for OpenAI, one for Octo AI is a stable diffusion model deployed to Octo AI Cloud, and one for writer.com. And this allows us to connect into these best of need generative AI services and bring that capability to our marketers' fingertips inside of Uniform Visual Workspace. Let's take a look how that's done. We are back in Uniform Visual Workspace. So let's take a look how the selection of AI technologies we just connected can help us optimize content. For example, on this title, if we want to make title shorter, we can just invoke a given prompt, and this is configured to use OpenAI service that's connected on our own JavaTrip account. We can also use Writer as another service, but let's connect it to this particular prompt and create a shorter version of our title. There we go, kind of like that better. For the short description, maybe we want to write copy based on the existing article. So we have an article that we have wrote, and we're going to use Writer as another service. And you can see that it's as uniform as possible. We can take advantage of exactly the same UX, but the prompt that the marketer is selecting is different. Marketers don't have to be prompt engineers, but you can configure this for your marketers and change the prompts and optimize them as you wish. We also can chain this prompt. So if we want to make the text shorter, we can invoke OpenAI on top of what writer gave us and use this service, this version instead. We can also take advantage of image generation capabilities. So you can see if we're not happy with this particular image, we can invoke Magic Wand, which gives us access to specific image generation commands. And because we have configured Octa AI cloud-based deployment of Stable Diffusion, that's exactly what we can use to generate us a brand new image. For example, futuristic espresso machine with LED screen. How about that? Let's see what a Stable Diffusion will give us. There we go. Maybe too futuristic. Let's run it again. Oh, I kind of like that. Let's use this, and this will work well with our design as well. If I'm not happy with presentation, again, I can take advantage of uniform display variant on this particular component. And you can see this image is square. That's why it's stretched, and I kind of don't like how it works, but it's not a problem. We can have access to yet another generative AI capability from Cloudinary, because on our side, all the images are delivered through Cloudinary. We have yet another capability to leverage generative fill, which will expand the image in a given ratio that we want. So if we want a wider image 2:1, in just a couple of seconds, Cloudinary will respond with a modified image with a padded left and right area. So this way we can essentially take advantage of multiple AI technologies at the same time. So let's give it another run. There we go. So now this image, I can use cover, and now this image is a lot more optimized for my given use case. I can also make it a little bit darker with opacity, and I'm done. This is how easy it is to take advantage of generative AI capabilities. I don't have to be an expert. I'm just using the prompts configured for me, and can instantly, again, publish our change and go live with this particular release. Now, another use case that you can consider is personalization. For personalization, we need content, and content can be delivered through generative AI. So why don't we do that and optimize this particular hero for a different audience? So for that, I'm gonna go and personalize this hero, and now I have access to my hero personalization container. I'm gonna create another copy of my hero, and this particular one will be targeted to another audience. You can see I have selected high income buyers as the audience, and now I need to optimize my content for that given audience. So my title, let me go ahead and personalize this content for the audience. You can see this AI integration is aware of which audience I'm using and which audience is selected on this personalization variant. And you can see it's taken it into account, and you can in fact preview this particular change if you'd like. So this is a great version, and all I want to do here is I'm gonna change this video to something slightly different, and this video will come from Cloudinary, and I'm gonna use this particular espresso cup. There we go. I'll save it. And finally, what I want to do is take advantage of additional capability that we have, leveraging brand protected data. So I do have a data resource available for me to essentially take advantage of the brand protected data I'm storing centrally here. And This could be maybe your company mission, vision, company data, brand names. And here, instead of typing this in, we can just reference it. So this means that if your company mission changes or a particular brand name changes, you can change it centrally, publish it, and it will get propagated across your whole site. This is great for governance and brand protection. Now we have launched this personalization, we have published. Now we need to take a look and simulate our audience and see how this works on the front end. Let's check out how this page looks for the default audience. You can see nothing has changed here, but if I visit this page again with additional query string parameter, which will allow us to trigger that signal. And this could be just one way of doing it. Typically, you would have CDP, like Twilio segment, providing you this data. So this is just another way to provide this data with a query string. You can see the experience is completely personalized. And I have all of my AI generated content rendered for me, and it's ready to go. Alrighty folks, that's the demo. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. I was playing this fictitious engineering manager working for JavaDrip, and I know I had fun. Hopefully what you saw today looks as transformational as it is to us. It brings marketing and developer teams together and allow developers to empower the marketing team. So marketing team can move at their own speed and not be dragged by the backlog. And developers can build in the front-end technologies that they want, focus less on plumbing and connecting things and dealing with really boring problems, and just spend time on more meaningful, exciting features and capabilities that generate business value. And this is all coming together in Uniform Visual Workspace. Everything is visual, and that's the key to productivity and time to market. If you'd like to have a more detailed demo, you know how to set it up, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. Thanks for joining. Cheers, bye.